Hey guys, welcome to my channel, YouTube Success Strategies, where I help you start, build, and grow your YouTube channel. And in my last video, we talked about really good thumbnails. And in addition to thumbnails, you really need a strategic title. And really the title and the thumbnail are the two things that really drives traffic to your video. And the thing you have to really think about when you're thinking about the title, let me tell you, I've made some titles, some really good titles and some really bad titles, and there's just small little tweaks you can make on the title that makes a day and night difference in the titles. And for example, there's some videos that I kind of got some ideas from. As a matter of fact, there was some videos on other people's channels from the UK as far as ball pythons over on my Animal Adventures channel, and they actually had titles. For example, they had the IHS ban at reptile shows, and unless you knew the IHS ban on reptile shows, you really didn't know what that title meant. And you look at it, and as a matter of fact, a lot of people kind of had similar titles to their videos, and they didn't really get a lot of views. And what it actually was is they actually banned the spider gene, the spider ball python gene, at the reptile shows over in the UK. So what I actually did is I actually changed that title to kind of a bold statement. It was really general, and it wasn't really specific in the title or on the thumbnail. And what I put is the spider gene is banned. And that way it kind of shakes people up. They say, wait a minute, the spider gene's banned. I need to click on this and see what this is all about. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about strategic titles that complement your thumbnails. And typically on your thumbnails, you only want like one or two words. Some people say just one word on your thumbnail. And what I like to do is I like to keep it short and sweet, not too many words. I know sometimes on my thumbnails I can get a little carried away and I'll put like maybe 5 or 6 words, but it has to be in large font, really basic font. You don't want to use any like handwritten script. You want to be able to just look at it and glance at it and instantly read it and know what it says from first glance without having to try to squint and look at the font on the thumbnail. And then typically what I'll do is I'll take my title and make my title a lot longer, but then I'll condense it down to my thumbnail. As a matter of fact, sometimes what I'll do is I'll have the title completely different words than what's on the thumbnail. So when someone looks at the thumbnail and says the spider gene is banned, and then they look at the actual title, it'll say something that complements that topic, but not necessarily says the same thing. And as a matter of fact, when I first started doing my thumbnails and my titles, I made them all the same. And the problem is you look at the thumbnail and you go, the spider gene is banned, and then you look at the title and it says the same thing. It doesn't really help the viewer decide if they really want to click on that video. So you have to make it similar, but I would say it adds a little bit more info. And I would say generally when you're looking at the words on the thumbnail and the words on the title, it really has to be, I would say, more of a generalization instead of something specific. So for example, if I was to say the spider gene was banned in the UK, then a lot of people in the UK would be clicking on that. But if I just said the spider gene is banned, people from all over the world are actually going to click on that to figure out, hey, is that actually banned in my country or my state or in where I actually live? So I think if you really target more of a broad general location or topic on your thumbnail and in your title, you'll get a lot more clicks than if you're really specific. So for example, if I was to make a title where it said the spider gene is banned in the UK at reptile shows, very few people would actually click on that because it's more specific and it's specifically targeting a specific group of people versus something a little bit more global. And the other thing you really want to watch out for is that you don't do clickbait. And clickbait is against the rules on YouTube. Clickbait is So for example, if you had a thumbnail with a Ferrari and you said, check out my new Ferrari or something like that, you click on it and the video is actually like a video about snakes. It's something completely different than the title and thumbnail. That is clickbait. And what a lot of people try to do is they'll look at, the trending topics and then have a thumbnail and title similar to a trending topic just to get people to click on it. And then once you click on it, you go into the video and it's a completely different topic. And that is clickbait. It's against the policy of YouTube, and you definitely don't want to go down that path. And the other thing is another thing you have to think about when you're generating the thumbnails and the titles. I would say instead of thinking about yourself, you think about what the audience really wants. So for example, I'm talking about my YouTube channel, and I can say, this is how I succeed on YouTube. You can kind of turn that around and say, this is how you succeed on YouTube. This is the 10 steps that you need to do to succeed on YouTube, or this is the strategy you need to make to succeed on YouTube, instead of focusing on what I did and kind of on my performance. It has to be, this is how I can help you perform better at whatever you're doing. And really, if you think about YouTube as a search engine, it's really a search engine in order to help people. People want to find information on how they can improve, on how they can fix things, and how they can do things. And that is really what you want to focus on, is how can my title and my thumbnail complement each other and help the viewer. And the viewer is looking for information, and that's really what you have to be thinking as far as putting the thumbnail and the title together as far as a topic that the viewer is looking for. And it's really, I would say that it's really it depends really what the viewer is looking for. For example, if you're doing like a gardening channel, you could say, this is how you actually do this in your garden. And this is how you can actually, and it's like the steps for the viewer to succeed, instead of pointing it at yourself. So really, I think the thumbnail and the title, really you have to put some thought into it. And I would say that is probably the essential things that really drive traffic to your site, and you really have to think about it and put some thought into it. And that, I think that is the number one thing that has really driven a lot of success to my Animal Adventures channel, is actually thinking about something that's more vague, I guess, instead of more specific, or kind of put a twist on it. So for example, on one of my latest videos, I actually found there's another feature of Morph Market that actually unlocks another 10,000 snakes that you can actually view. And actually, I was thinking about different ways I could actually word that. And originally, I was on Morph Market and looking at all these different snakes. And then in one of my comments, they said, "Hey, if you actually change from the United States to Europe, you actually see all the snakes in Europe." And typically, if you're dealing with Morph Market just in the United States, you log in and it actually tracks your location and knows you in the United States based on your IP address, probably what's going on, and they show you all the snakes from the United States. And then you have to actually go in and manually click on Europe to actually show all the snakes in Europe. So I was thinking, well, if I actually worded my thumbnail and my title to where I could say, okay, everyone in the United States, all you have to do is click on Europe to unlock, to see all the snakes in Europe. And really, if you think about it, that's not really a title that can grab the attention of most people. They're thinking, okay, these snakes are in Europe. If you're really specific, you click on, you can have a title that says, click on this button and you'll see all the snakes in Europe. And that is not the title that you really want to drive traffic. What you really want to do is keep it more vague and say, let me show you how to unlock an extra 10,000 hidden snakes on Morph Market. And it's really a play on words, I would say, as far as your title and your thumbnail. And you really have to put a lot of thought into exactly what you're doing with the title and thumbnail. And let me tell you, some of this stuff, I could put out a video, the same exact video, even with the same picture on the thumbnail, and changing the words on the thumbnail, changing the words on the title, it changes my views, going from maybe 1,000, 1,200 views in a week to 30,000 views in a week just by tweaking those little things. Let me tell you, it makes a huge difference. And then some people look at your channel and you're like, how is he succeeding on some of this stuff? And let me tell you, if you put some thought into the title and the thumbnail, and that, I think that is like the #1 key to figure out how to drive a lot of traffic to your videos. And you want to do it in such a way where it's not clickbait. You actually want, you want the title to actually reflect the content of your video, but you want to keep it really broad for the general audience worldwide. So hopefully that helped you. This is kind of, still the building blocks of how to succeed on YouTube. I think this is one of the really basic things that once you master all the other things, this kind of complements everything else, drives a lot of traffic to your videos. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.